Hey everybody, it's Nate Eaton here at CrimeCon with Christie, juror number 3 in Kouri Richins' trial that just wrapped up. We just spoke with the CrimeCon crowd, a lot of interesting questions from people, and you were able to say some things that we hadn't quite heard before. Talk about the text messages from the man who passed away. His name was Hayden. I believe his girlfriend testified.
Correct. So that was one piece of information that we got from the judge after we delivered the verdict. The judge came into the jury room and sat down and said, ask me anything that you want to know. And so we asked him a lot of questions about evidence we didn't get to hear. And he said that there were text messages found on Hayden's phone from Kouri asking him if he could procure fentanyl and propofol for her. But because he had passed away in a motorcycle accident, he was not able to testify since he wouldn't be able to be cross-examined and it would be considered hearsay.
So had Hayden been alive, they likely would have called him as a witness, and he would have said, likely, that he got a text from Kouri asking for fentanyl
and propofol.
And propofol, which that was referred to in the trial.
That was the Michael Jackson drug, and I think the only real reason you ever want to procure that is if you're going to try to end someone's life, since we know that's what it did for Michael Jackson.
Right, it's a very heavy anesthesia that you have to use under a doctor's care. The other thing that you mentioned was the undercover cop who testified, the drug narco cop, that we didn't get to see. That feed was cut. No, so unless you were in the courtroom that day, you didn't get to hear it. That was a really key piece of the trial for you. And tell me why.
Yeah, that really was important to me because what he testified to was the fact that at that time, every single piece of illicit street drugs that they were seizing was not oxycodone. There was no oxycodone on the streets at that time. It was so well controlled by the DEA and other agencies that everything that they were seizing was fentanyl. And so while Carmen Lauber and Robert Crozier had a lot of inconsistencies in their testimony, we knew that Kouri asked Carmen to purchase drugs, and they were in communication while she was on the way to purchase them because the cell towers lined up with that piece of evidence. But what the undercover cops testified to was the fact that fentanyl was the only drug that you were getting on the streets at that time. Everything was fentanyl.
And we heard a lot about the gummies being in the house during the trial, the marijuana THC gummies. We didn't hear anything about fentanyl being in the house, but you learned a little bit about that.
I did. When the judge came in and spoke to us after the verdict, one of the things that he told us was that there was fentanyl found in the home on 2 separate occasions, and that they were trace amounts of fentanyl, but they were unable to admit that as evidence due to the type of test that was run to determine that it was fentanyl. But there was fentanyl found in the home.
Okay, that's huge. That's huge because fentanyl is how Eric Richins died of a fentanyl overdose, and we never heard at the trial anything about fentanyl being in the home. But because of the testing, it wasn't like a proper test or something. It couldn't be admitted.
I'm not sure exactly. Just all I know is that the judge told us that there had been fentanyl found in the home and that it just has never been able to be admitted due to the type of test that was run.
And so we're clear, the judge is telling you this after the verdict, after the trial, everything had been decided.
Correct. The verdict was done, and this was the judge coming in to speak to us jurors and just let us ask questions, and that was a piece of information that we found really interesting.
Yeah, what did you do when you heard that?
I was not surprised. Eric did pass away from a fentanyl overdose in the home. So I am confident that there had to have been fentanyl in the home somewhere. But unfortunately, we as a jury were never able to hear that information during the trial.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. Anything else that stuck out to you that maybe we might not know about the case?
I think that you have pretty much asked me about every piece of this case.
There might be something you think of.
I'll let you know if I think of anything else. It's been just quite a wild ride for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for chatting with me. And you can watch our extended interview with Christie that we did a couple of months ago on our YouTube channel, where she really talked about the behind the scenes of the case and things like that. So thanks, Christie.
Thanks, Nate.